Malcolm Reed didn't inherit power. He built it. From the grimy streets of East Belmont to boardrooms atop glass towers, every step he took was paved with sweat, brilliance, and pain. Born into a world that never expected much of him, Malcolm knew early that he had to outwork, outthink, and outlast. He began with nothing but an aging laptop and a dream, a tech startup called Syntrex. The idea was bold, the execution flawless. Within 5 years, Malcolm transformed Syntrex into a behemoth, redefining smart technology and earning himself billions. But with his meteoric rise came an emptiness money couldn't cure. He craved connection, not the kind found in boardrooms or after-parties, but something real, a partner, a home. That longing led him to Vivian Hale, elegant, cultured, and seemingly perfect. Her laughter was like music, her touch soothing. She was everything Malcolm had never had. But she came from a world that watched Malcolm like a stain on their white silk. Old wealth, deep prejudice, and mass disdain. Vivian's family made their disgust clear, their every smile laced with contempt. But Malcolm, blinded by love, clung to hope. They married in grandeur, the media dubbing it the union of legacy and brilliance. But the fairy tale dissolved quickly. Vivian's warmth cooled. Her affection became performance. Malcolm heard her mocking him behind closed doors. If he didn't have money, she once whispered to a friend at a charity gala, I'd never touch him. The things I put up with still, Malcolm stayed. He told himself love needed patience. But the lies grew louder. Late-night calls, weekend trips alone, feigned headaches. He tried confronting her, but she deflected with icy poise. Then came the night he found her, entangled with another man, the betrayal unmistakable. He didn't shout. He didn't cry. He just stared, nodding to himself. That was the moment Malcolm Reed stopped being her husband. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs as Malcolm sat in tailored silence. He signed the divorce papers with steady hands, his face unreadable. Across from him, Vivian was radiant in white, as if mocking the sanctity of their broken vows. A.S. She scribbled her signature. She leaned forward, her voice loud and venomous. Finally free, she smirked. You were never good enough. Did you honestly believe a woman like me could ever love you? Gasps rippled through the gallery, but Malcolm said nothing. He sat still, absorbing every insult like stone against rain. You're pathetic, she continued, her eyes glittering with cruelty. A poor kid from the gutter who got lucky with a few gadgets. You thought money made you worthy? I was with you for your fortune. That's it. Judge Ronald Barrett shifted in his seat, his jaw tightening. Vivian laughed, tossing her hair. You wore those suits like they could hide the truth. But we all know who you really are. Trash. Decorated trash. Malcolm's fists clenched under the table, but he didn't flinch. The courtroom silence sharpened as Vivian leaned closer. Every night I spent in your arms, I dreamed of someone else. Dozens of someone else's, she hissed. From the day I met you, I felt nothing but disgust. His voice finally came, cracked but calm. Was there ever any moment that was real? Vivian's eyes glittered with malice. Not one. I faked every smile, every kiss. You repulse me. You still do. The words cut deeper than he expected. Malcolm's gaze fell to the table, breath shallow. But when he lifted his head again, his eyes were dry. Empty. Judge Barrett stood. That's enough, Mrs. Hale. Vivian scoffed. Oh, please. Don't act shocked. I just told the truth. The judge's voice turned cold. You mistake cruelty for courage, and your arrogance blinds you. Vivian smirked. Spare me the lecture. Judge Barrett's hand tapped his gavel, but he didn't strike. Instead, he looked to Malcolm. Mr. Reed, is there anything you'd like to say before we close this? Malcolm paused. No, not yet. Vivian rolled her eyes. What's left to say? He's finished. Alone, just like he started. Malcolm's gaze finally met hers, steady, composed. No, Vivian, I didn't come here to fight. I came to bury the past. But since you love honesty so much, he opened a folder slowly, sliding a document across the table that Vivian's smirk faltered as she scanned the paper. Her fingers trembled. This can't be real, she whispered. Judge Barrett leaned forward. "What is that, Mrs. Hale?" Vivian's lips moved, but no sound came. Her mask cracked. For the first time that day, fear crossed her face. "Vivian," Malcolm said, his voice now colder. "You thought you knew everything, but you didn't know this. And you're not walking away clean." She stood up suddenly. "You can't do this. You don't have proof." "I don't need proof," Malcolm replied. "You already gave it to me." The judge stood as bailiff stirred. A sharp bang echoed. "Mr. Reed," Judge Barrett said, his tone shifting, "we'll need to proceed in chambers." Immediately. And just like that, the serpent realized she had just bitten into a blade. "Mrs. Hale," Judge Ronald Barrett said, his voice heavy with restrained fury, "you have said many things today, cruel, dehumanizing things. And while you were laughing, while you hurled insults with such venom, I was quietly reviewing a key document." Vivian's smirk froze. Her posture tightened, a flicker of unease dancing across her face. For the first time, she looked unsure. The judge slid a folder across the table toward her. "Why just red changes everything?" Vivian tried to laugh, but it came out brittle. "Another technicality? Spare me. I'm done with this circus. I just want out of this nightmare, and away from that ape." A collective gasp rippled through the room. Malcolm remained still, expression unreadable. Judge Barrett's gaze sharpened. "Then I suggest you listen very carefully," he said, "because in the next few seconds, your entire life is going to change." The silence grew dense. Vivian's smile vanished completely as the judge lifted a paper from the folder. "Because, Mrs. Hale," he continued, "nothing you believe you own, your cars, your home, your jewelry, legally belongs to you." "What?" she snapped. "That's my property. I earned that for putting up with him." The judge's tone remained calm, yet it carried weight. "No, you didn't. The prenuptial agreement you signed before marrying Mr. Reed was airtight. Ironclad. You agreed that, in the event of infidelity, especially repeated, your claim to his assets would be forfeited entirely." Vivian leapt to her feet, shrieking, "You're lying. You tricked me. This is a setup. I'll sue you both." Malcolm didn't move. He simply watched her spiral. "You planned this, didn't you, Malcolm?" she screamed. "You sick, twisted little man. I married you. I gave up everything for you." "No," Malcolm said finally, his voice steady. "You never gave me anything. You just saw an opportunity. And now, the game is over." Judge Barrett raised the paper again. "According to this clause, every purchase made with Mr. Reed's accounts, including the jewelry you're wearing, is legally his." Vivian froze. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. Her hand trembled as it touched the necklace around her throat. "Everything you touched," the judge added, "returns to him." Vivian turned to Malcolm, her voice breaking. "You can't do this. Please. I deserve something. I gave you years." Malcolm stood. There was no anger in his voice, only quiet exhaustion. "All I ever wanted was a home. Real love. You saw my heart and spit in it. So no, Vivian, you don't get to take anything from me anymore." A murmur passed through the courtroom. Then, in a voice clear and deliberate, he said, "Keep the jewelry." Gasps again. Vivian stared at him. "What?" "Keep the necklaces, the rings, the watch. Let them remind you, every day, of what you lost. Not the money, but the man you could have had." It was not generosity. It was judgment. Final. Vivian's face twisted. "You smug bastard," she roared, lunging across the table. "You'll regret this. I'll destroy you." Before she could reach him, security guards restrained her, dragging her back as she kicked and screamed like a wild animal. "You belong in the gutter," she shrieked. "I hope you rot there." Judge Barrett banged his gavel. "Enough. Remove her from this courtroom immediately." Her final scream pierced the walls. "This isn't over, Malcolm. You hear me? I'll ruin you." But Malcolm never looked back. The courtroom emptied slowly. Malcolm stood alone, hands folded in front of him. Judge Barrett approached. "I hope you find peace now, Mr. Reed," he said. Malcolm nodded. Not peace, but maybe at the beginning. Months passed. Vivian faded from headlines, tucked away in a condo she couldn't afford, surrounded by expensive silence. The phone stopped ringing. The friends who once laughed with her vanished. All that remained were jewels in Echoes Point one spring afternoon. She wandered through a shopping district, alone and unrecognizable. Then she saw him. Malcolm. He was walking hand in hand with a woman. She was radiant, not in designer clothes, but in grace. There was a child between them, laughing, swinging from their hands. Vivian stopped in her tracks. Ducking behind a storefront, she watched them pass. He looked free. He looked full. And for the first time in her life, Vivian Hale felt something she had never truly understood: regret, because the man she'd once called trash now walked like a king.